Well, hello again, everyone. This is Dr. Jim Hoven, and I have the incredible opportunity to host this amazing show called the Ramos Law Difference Makers podcast. And it's during this opportunity that I get to share stories and visits with people who are doing amazing things in amazing ways in their own right. And some of those people are actually our family, our team here. And today I have the chance to talk with one of my very, very favorite souls of light, Laura Meehan. And Laura is a wonderful paralegal at our firm. And so her story is incredible. Her passion for what she does is incredible. And I can't wait to share it with you guys as Laura and I have this discussion. So Laura, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Hoven. Glad to be here.
Yes. You and I have talked about doing this for a little bit, right? With all the things you've got going on. And so now to see you here, I have to tell you, as we get started on this, when I see you walking around, you are a light. And I know I just said that, but you walk around, there's a lightness to you and there's a sparkle in your eye and you just always have a sense of joy with you. So number one, thank you for that, for sure.
Thank you.
And number two, have you always been like that? Have you always been the bubbly spirit, the
life of the party,
the joy in the room? Tell me about that.
First off, life is good. God is good. I'm very blessed. And so I get excited about every day. I kind of try to live life to its fullest and to my best that I can be as a human, first and foremost. And so I want to just kind of like put a light in someone else's life. Like hopefully they get just a taste of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so again, as a kid though, is that how you were? And were you part of a big sibling tribe, or were you just only child? Or tell us a little bit more.
Oh no, I was part of a tribe for sure. I have a big family in California where I grew up. And so my cousins, huge family, cousins, aunts, uncles. I have two brothers and a sister who have the same heart as I do. And we were raised by two great parents. And, you know, not everything's always perfect, but the one thing we did grow up with was love in each other. And we shared that every single day was an I love you, hugs, kisses. Aunts and uncles would just hug and kiss your face. And grandmothers were just amazing. So
you guys were a very close family.
Yes. I lived next door to my grandma in elementary school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And so was grandma part of your kind of care team where you would be with her a lot?
Mm-hmm. She actually taught me to be who I want to be. She's a saint. I would say she's a saint. I think the whole family would say she's a saint. She taught me to be a great mother, a great sister, a great person in general.
How did she teach that? Cook. Did she tell you things and instill them in you, or did you just watch her? Or?
Well, I'm the oldest sister. I have an older brother, but I'm the oldest sister. And so when we lived next door to her, she would teach me how to cook, and I would want those things.
And how old were you at that time?
Oh, elementary school.
Oh, little girl.
Little girl.
Okay.
Third grade. I was wanting to learn how to make tea, and she served anyone that came to the house. She had food ready. She had, drinks ready. She was just ready to serve, and she served her church. She served her family, and it was just someone who I wanted to impersonate. I wanted to be that.
That is cool. And so your parents, you guys live next door. When you're with all this love, I'm interested because normally you have a personality like yours.
Yes. That's
really, really bright and, kind of effervescent. Mm-hmm. That's how I would describe you. And then some of the other siblings would be different. They'd be more maybe methodical or more introspective and maybe more like all about the intellect side of life versus the expressive side. But it doesn't necessarily sound like it was that with you guys. You were all We're
all very close. I have my older brother who was risque, I would say. He had no fear, was ready to jump on a bike and take off. I mean, very young age, was running the streets, just gone all the time, wanting to play and jump and skateboard and ride bikes and motorcycles and all that. He was very risky. My sister, who's the third child, is very shy, quiet, and would let me voice. I kind of didn't let her have a voice, so that's probably my fault. And then my little brother, who was 6 years later than all of us, he came and he was the baby. So he was the spoiled one and an egg, I would call it, because he was just so fragile. We treated him, well, I would say my parents treated him like he was so fragile. So I was kind of like the more loud and outspoken one. And
okay, so you were kind of the leader of the
boss.
troop of the kids, right?
Yes.
And so did your parents, when you were growing up, were they strict in nature, lots of rules, or was it a, hey, we rule this house by love, and as long as you're doing things in that aspect, most of your actions will probably be okay?
They were very fun-loving, so we kind of just were able to have fun all the time. I mean, it was just the house to be at. My cousins always were there. My dad would put up a pole or build a mud slide on the side of the house just so that we could slip and slide in the mud. I mean, my aunts and uncles hated him for that probably, but we had the slip and slide in the front yard. I mean, the elementary school years, they were just really awesome. And so it wasn't until later when my parents divorced in junior high that, things kind of changed a little bit.
Did that change your personality and that shininess when love got tainted, if you will, when you saw it not work out? How did that affect you?
I don't want to say that it tainted me because I kind of took a different perspective. I wasn't really I didn't feel like I was a victim or per se. I was just more like, I mean, we still kept loving each other. My dad still helped my mom. They co-parented pretty well through junior high. And it wasn't until I want to say she had a midlife crisis, but kind of, disappeared once we got into high school. So for 4 years, she wasn't part of our life. It was just my dad raising us. So
in California still, or had you come to Colorado?
In California.
By then?
Mm-hmm. In California. We were still in California. So for those 4 years that my mom wasn't around, my dad kind of took the reins and took care of 4 kids. And the baby was only 5 years old at the time. And so it was kind of a different lifestyle, but we still were very tight and we loved each other. We took care of each other. My big brother turned into Superman, and my sister was still her shy self, but we just grouped together. We really took care of each other.
So after high school, did you come to Colorado later, like quite a bit after that? Or
no,
did you?
Right after graduation, 94. Okay. After graduation, I asked my dad to wait for graduation so that I can graduate with all my friends, and he did that. And so in September of 94, I want to say, we packed up, and my mom was back by then, and we all packed up and moved to Colorado together.
Wow.
Yeah.
And was that into Colorado Springs? Because I know
Colorado Springs.
That's where a lot of your family is now. So
yep.
Directly to Colorado Springs.
Yes.
Okay. So you get to Colorado Springs
yes.
and after high school, and then
yes.
what? Where does your life take you at that point?
So I have this passion for homelessness prevention and families that are homeless and things like that. And that is because throughout high school, my dad struggled, and we didn't have a home all the time. And we did, we were homeless.
So you guys experienced homelessness?
Yes.
Okay, so that's after your mom's gone?
After my mom's
during
gone.
High school.
During high school.
What did you guys do? Was it friends and families' places that you would stay at periodically? Did you guys get split up? What happened?
No, we stayed together, and my dad made sure that happened, that we all stayed together. We stayed with family. We stayed in a hotel sometimes, and there were times that he would be able to rent an apartment, and that would last maybe 6 months. And he couldn't hold a full-time job down because he had a 5-year-old in kindergarten and us in high school, and it was kind of juggling, watching us, making sure we're staying in line, and working and holding down the fort and all of those things, and with a 5-year-old child. And yes. We had a lot of family, but he had his pride, and so between those things, it was a struggle. So
he sacrificed an incredible amount of his own, chasing his own dreams, it sounds like, so that he could provide for you guys.
Well, he had a business, and we lived in the office building there for a little bit until he lost the company, and then we moved in with family, and then we hopped around a little bit. I was in 3 high schools my freshman year, and then was finally at 1 high school for the rest of the remainder of my high school years.
So how did you keep positive during that? Or did you lose some of your light during that? What was your outlook? Because I think people that are listening right now, they're either going, yeah, I've seen that, or I know someone like that, or I'm feeling that, or I can't imagine being like, I was really, really from what you're talking about, I was really sheltered. You know, I mean, my parents certainly had their issues, and it ended up in divorce after I left high school, but they always provided a roof over my head. There was never anything that I needed. I never went hungry, but this sounds like a little different with more kids. I was an only child. So how did you stay so positive?
I kind of jumped into the mom category.
So the role, like you assumed that role for the siblings.
I got a job so that we can, you know, if there was leftover burgers on the thing, they would let me take them home to the family to eat. And, you know, so it was just always taking care of the kids, or I just took on that role as mom, cook, clean, you know, go to school, of course. And I love to dance. It's in my spirit. And that is just something I did that was the positive.
And was it formal dance, or you just would hear music and you would just let yourself go?
I love to dance. I did folklorico, Azteca, hip hop.
Wow.
So what it was is my dad couldn't afford daycare, or couldn't afford. Sometimes he would work late. We would go hang out at the rec centers, and I would just watch the dancers there, and I would copy them.
Yes.
And then they would just pull me in and say, dance with us. And so I would dance with them in hip hop. And so we'd go to parks and dance at the carnivals or the events or things like that. I would just dance. So
that was your sport, if you will. That was your your connection
Yeah.
to groups, was in dance.
Correct.
Do you still dance?
Around the house, but
Yeah.
not in public. Oh, well, I'm a liar. Weddings, quinceañeras, I'm a liar. I am the one on the dance floor when it comes to weddings and special occasions and things like that. I'm out there. I love to dance. My boys love to dance. I'm so happy that they have that in them.
Yes.
They love to dance. My husband, not so much.
Yeah. I'm like your husband. I'm with him, so I understand that.
He'll get up there and he'll slow dance. He'll be the first one to, you know, play our song and drag me out there just so that he can say I danced with my wife. But when it comes to the fast dances, that's me and my kids. We're out there dancing.
I love it. Yeah. Well, when you started taking on this mom role, at some point your siblings started growing up and you started forming a different path. How did you know, because you're one of our paralegals, was there a lot of growing that you did between wanting to become a paralegal from working at restaurants and other things? Where did that love for the law or that passion come from?
I actually wanted to be a lawyer, and I had an aunt, my dad's sister, who actually throughout high school was like education. My dad was like shocked that I wanted to go to college. He's like, okay, you know, you want to go to college? Because
he didn't know how you would pay for it, or
correct.
He needed you to help take care of the kids, or why was he shocked?
Probably both. Because my younger sibling, the baby, he was still so young in elementary school, and so he didn't really have the money. He was trying to get us out of California because of the crime, and everywhere that we lived there was kind of crime. There was crime in the family, so he was trying to get us away from that, and so Colorado was his dreamland.
Did he have family here, or why Colorado?
He dreamed of living in Colorado, the Colorado mountains, somewhere he could fish and raise the kids away from the chaos of California. And so he was like, you know, we're going to move to Colorado. And I said, well, can you wait till I graduate? Because I have all these friends and I love everyone around. You know, I just didn't want to leave. I loved my aunt, who we were very close during that time. And she kind of played a mother role. She made sure I went to prom. She made sure I went to dances and had a dress and shoes and things like that. Had my hair done. She did that. She was my mom role during high school. So anyway, so she taught me education. You want to go to school. What is your passion, you know, and things like that. And I said, I want to help people. Like, I want to help people with something. I didn't know what yet. I just knew I wanted to be a lawyer and I wanted to help people. I wanted to fight for someone. And so when we moved here, I went to Pikes Peak Community College, and I was trying to get some sort of degree at that time. I wanted to get into Regis. I remember now I wanted to get into Regis, and that was kind of like my way. I had to bring up a grade point average and things like that just so that I could get into the school. But I ended up meeting my husband in 96, just a couple years later. Well, I'm a liar. It was New Year's of 96, New Year's Eve. So it was going into 97.
97, yes.
Yeah. That's when we met.
Excellent.
In Colorado Springs.
Okay. So then you guys start dating, and then obviously, oh no, you're fine. So you're getting ready to, you're on the track for law school, and then what changed that direction as far as why you decided instead of going to law school, let's go the paralegal route?
Well, there's a lot of time in between those two stages.
Okay.
Because my son was born in November of 97.
Okay, yep.
So me and my husband met on New Year's Eve of 96. We moved in together in February, got married in April, and had our son by November.
So life was changing fast.
Fast.
For you. Right.
All in 97.
Yes.
That happened.
And so you're thinking about going to Regis, which is a pretty exclusive school
and I was
here in
working
Denver.
2 jobs.
Working 2 jobs. Mm-hmm. At that point, when the family and all the responsibilities came, is that when you said, okay.
Everything in my life made sense before I met my husband, so I blame it all on him first and foremost. I hope he's listening. No.
Yes, you know, it's always our fault as husbands. Let me just take that one from the team.
Everything in my life made sense. I knew what I was doing. I was on track. I had 2 jobs to pay for it. I had my own apartment. I was just like on track. And then I met him. I fell in love. And if you can imagine, like, cartoon characters, like their hearts pounding out of their chest and hearts floating in the sky. Yes. That's kind of how it happened. It was love at first sight. We were in love.
I love that. That's so great.
I lost track of school after that. I just wanted to be a mom again. I loved taking care of my siblings. I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to be a wife. I wanted to do everything my grandma taught me. It just all came flooding back into my heart from like growing up, doing all those things. And I felt like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to be a mom. And so that's what I did. I
think that is so admirable, Laura, because here's what I know. People can get locked into what society tells them they should do, right? Or what their family, it's peer pressure can lead people down a road of where they want to be, but we're all called to something. So you thought you had the plan, and that plan was perfect for you until it wasn't. But the fact that you were willing to listen to your heart and say, forget whatever you had said to people and to yourself. When you knew it was right, you followed that right direction for you. Yeah. And all of a sudden, that was where you were meant to be in the moment.
Right.
Amazing.
Well, and then paralegal came into my life because I knew that's what I wanted to be. I preached it to my kids. College, college, college. Me and my husband set a foundation that they were going to go to school. They were in all these sports. They were going to get scholarships and do all these things. And that we didn't do. And so my son kind of threw it back in my face when he was a freshman in high school. He says, Mom, you want me to go to college. Your dream was to go to college, and I challenge you to go back to school. And so I did in 2012. 2012. So from 97 to 2012, I was a mom and working as in office management and all kinds of different, mostly exterior design like roofing, insulation, asbestos, you name it, I did it. And it was office management and then I went to school.
And so when you graduated from your paralegal training and you're starting to help people, what was it about the paralegal profession that you just fell in love with? What is it that just drives you? Because you practice with so much passion, and I know your work, I see your work, I know the attorneys that you work with and how they feel. What is it that called to you that paralegal is the way that you can serve like you'd want to do since you were a little girl?
Our clients are amazing people. There's just wonderful human beings in this world, and I get to touch that when I talk to them. They all have stories too. They all have people they need to listen to and want to talk to. And when I meet my clients, I think of my mom, I think of my dad, I think of my brothers, my sisters, and how they just need to know what to do next after a tragic situation. They just need to know what to do next, and nobody really knows what to do next. And so when they call us, they hope someone can guide them. And if I can do that, that is just what keeps me going. I just love that.
Is that your favorite part of the job?
That's my favorite part
connecting of the job. with the clients and helping them know in what is an incredibly unfamiliar hostile potentially situation if insurance companies, how do we get paid? Where can I get care? All that kind of stuff.
Yes.
You like that guidance of them?
I love just letting them know they're okay now. Like they're on the right path to getting taken care of. Not just for them, but sometimes it's sad and it's their children that are in that position and they're vulnerable and because their children are in pain or need help. And this is just one less thing that they have to worry about is when they meet us, then we can take it from there.
Absolutely. And I've seen you do that so many times with them. I am interested when you have someone that you're talking to that gets discouraged. They're a client of ours at Ramos Law, and they've been injured in some sort of personal injury situation. It's been a long time, and you work on the cases. You don't work on the new cases. You work on the ones that are complicated. They've been in the system. They haven't settled because there's challenges, right? That's where you're getting these people, and you're guiding them through that process from kind of the earlier stage all the way to the end. How do you help someone cope with the time distance, knowing, because my wife went through this, and you know Shauna, right?
Yes.
But when she got in her accident, she had to get into the part of the law firm where you work and where you serve, and she just had such a hard time saying, this wasn't my fault. My life has been wrecked for 2.5 years. These people aren't wanting to help me. How do you cope? What do you do as a team member for the law firm to help those people navigate that situation?
Well, that's the hardest part because it is a long process, and unfortunately, they're struggling, they're hurting, they're going through all these things that they can't control, that we can't control, that their doctors can't even control at times, and to keep them sane, I want to say, or at least give them a little bit of comfort, is just spending time with them and hearing them out and let them vent, because they really can't vent to anyone else. And so they'll call us and say, what's the status of our case? And that kind of just like opens the gates to the floodgates, because then that's when the second you say, so how are you? They just tears, sobbing, melt. Yes. Just all we can do is let them melt, let them vent, let them cry, let them scream. And then at the end of the conversation, they're like, thank you. Thank you for listening, because we really, really, really needed that. We really needed to just vent and just like, it's like a tea kettle. We just needed to let the top off, and they do that. They call here and they do that. And
wow. So you being able to listen, be a kind ear, an open heart, basically a soul-to-soul connection has every bit as much impact, from what I'm hearing you say, as, hey, Susie, just want to let you know, here's where the insurance company's at, here's what they're wanting to do, here's what your doctors are saying. That's the reporter side of it, but that human connection is what you find really makes the difference in the client's, just their healing process. Is that fair?
Right, it is. And you kind of try to find some level of connection. That is why we try to find out their personal lives. We want to know their personal lives, because if we connect somehow, some way, it's even some sort of it's good for our souls too. We kind of feel like I said, like I'm talking to my sister or something. It's kind of one of those things where we help each other. So
and
it's
I
good
think
for both of us.
Not only from the therapeutic side and from the support side, from my experience, when you get to know your clients, they'll tell you things that they might not even tell their doctors. Yeah. And that becomes critical in a case, right? Because if they're not telling their doctors, for example, like, I couldn't get down on the floor with my kids and it really upsets me, and they're going on about that. Well, if they didn't tell their doctor that, but it's because of that crash, if you hear it, you put that in the notes. Correct. Now that can get back to that. You can tell the insurance company, listen, these people, this person can't do what they did before, and this is how it's affecting their life. And now the insurance company says, oh, wow, this injury is a little bit worse than we thought. And that means that they can help compensate them and take care of them better because of the connection that they otherwise might not have had you not built the relationship. I think that's important to know.
Right. And we also will educate them a little bit in terms of, let your doctor know. Thank you for sharing that with me, but can you share that with your doctor too? Because it is helpful to have that in the doctor's notes, and it is helpful for your doctor to know what you're going through and what exactly, because maybe there's some other underlying condition that's not allowing that to happen. Maybe your knee injury that you're focusing on isn't why you can't get on the ground, but you're not paying attention to these other injuries that seem minute to you because you have this other injury that's so much more dramatic. And so, you educate them head to toe, tell your doctor. So
good. Wow. For anyone that's listening that has been in an accident or trauma of any kind and needs to see a provider, I think as a former full-time provider myself, that is such gold, because if the patients wouldn't tell me everything, that would be problematic in helping me know the levels deep that we needed to go to fix it. Or as a provider, if I'm really busy, sometimes I might not think to ask head to toe as you described, right? I get so focused on you're coming here for low back. So low back and right above and below, but what if it's in your ankle? What if it's, so I think what you just shared is complete wisdom. And I know that people can, really learn from that. And so I think that takes me to say, if someone does get hurt in an accident, if they, slip and fall, they're skiing, who knows what happens, something happens to them. As far as from your perspective, being in this business, how do they best navigate that? What do they do? What should they look for if something happens? Some injury, like, again, we'll use what we do a lot. So they get in a car crash. What should they do?
Well, they should listen to their bodies, and anything that's different that wasn't there the day before, the timing before the accident, they need to document that and go see their doctor. And even if it's minor, if you want to wait a few days, that's fine to see if it goes away. But if it doesn't, you really just need to document that. Go see your doctor, let them know what's going on, and follow up if needed.
Absolutely. I agree. And I think things at the scene that so many people don't think about is they need to get their phone out, take a picture, get license plates, exchange information, call the police, like make sure that some things are being done mechanically. Because in the moment, I mean, it's even happened to me where, I work at a law firm, and in the moment I'm like, it's okay. We don't have to, it's all's good. And
here's the biggest mistake I guess people can make is they look at their car only and they're like, oh, it's not so bad. Snip, a picture. And they look at the other car, but they don't care about the other car because it's not theirs. But you need to look at the other vehicle, take pictures of that one as well, because those pictures are probably way worse than your pictures of your vehicle. And so a lot of insurance companies don't take the damage to your vehicle into consideration because we don't have the documented proof of the other vehicle. And so that's very important to make sure you take pictures of the other vehicles. Wow.
Well. Yes. What a great point. And I didn't mention that earlier, but absolutely take those pictures of both vehicles.
Yeah.
I think that if people will take those simple steps, it really makes, and we don't want anybody to have these kinds of situations, but let's face it, with more people out and, lots of cars on the road, things are going to happen. And so if they happen, no matter which side of the fault line you might be on, you still want to take good precautions. No, if you run into someone else, you still got to go get your injuries checked, right? Yes. You need to know your insurances and all that kind of stuff. But so rather you got to take care of the things to do on scene, make sure you're taking care of that, and then also make sure that you're taking care of your body. So those are great. What else? You got any other tips? Because I have something else I want to talk about, but I want to make sure that you get your story out here on the paralegal side, because you are just so good at what you do that I could keep asking you about that.
Well, do I have anything to add in terms of like my family or?
No, on the business side, on what you do for work. Anything else? Because I have a whole another topic that I want to move to.
Well, my Ramos Law family is part of the whole vibe thing that I have going on. It keeps me going every day. They're all the same personality, and I guess birds of a feather, they call it, they flock together, and this building is full of them. So that's not something that is just a rumor. It's facts. It's just facts. We all love each other here, and everyone smiles for each other, whether they're having a bad day or not. And it really is uplifting to come here every day.
Wow. Well, that as part of the team that tries to drive the culture here, that warms my heart, Laura. Thank you so much for saying that, because we do try to hire people for attitude as well as aptitude, as you well know. And people, we have 5 core values and we try to live by them every single day. And if it doesn't work, then those relationships typically don't last. So the fact that we do try to get people that care and love and share and, you know, shine, even though none of us is up all the time, right? We all support each other in those down days. So I cannot thank you enough for that.
It's called the Ramos way, right?
It's called the Ramos way. Well done. That's right. That's right. And so speaking of the Ramos way and the Laura Meehan way, I know you have a huge heart for service. And so I want to talk about a couple of things towards the end of the show here. And that is, you have, from our previous conversations, you have this incredible heart. You mentioned earlier for people not experiencing homelessness because of your experience. But number 2, basically, we have a huge food problem. Some of it's food deserts and distribution problems. Some of it is lack of resources to have good food. Some of it is so much wasted food. There's so many things. I want to hear a little bit about your heart, the groups you work with, your connections, and your purpose. Because that's the purpose-driven life. You have your purpose at work and then you have purpose away. And you are clearly connected to people's needs for food and shelter. So tell me about that.
Food and shelter. So no child should go hungry and no child should not have a roof over their head. I advocate for several different organizations in the Denver metro area, and they have food pantries, they have homeless prevention programs. Those, even our customers or our clients, even our clients who are struggling because of the accident, some can't work, some, you know, I give them these resources as well because it just helps them either get back on track or find the resources to get back on track. And that's very important. Nobody needs to be homeless. Nobody needs to go hungry. And so there are many organizations in the Denver metro area, but located here near North Glen, there is right downstairs.
Senior Hub, right?
Senior Hub, let me get the name right. They do Meals on Wheels, and they also have emergency food pantry. And so I'm working with Richard downstairs, and I'm going to do a collection. They need bathroom, toiletry items for their emergency pantry, and they will take any perishable items, of course, and foods, but they tend to not get as much of the toiletry side of things. So toilet papers, shampoos, soaps, things like that. So I'll be sending a collection email for that.
Nice. And, just a little insert there. We did a podcast with Stephanie, who's the executive director of the Senior Hub. So anybody more interested in what that organization is all about, it's fantastic. You can go back and I don't even know what episode, what it was or what number it was. But if you look at Stephanie and the Senior Hub, you'll be able to find that as a kind of a show note for folks there. But anyway, so go on. So the Senior Hub is great. What else?
Senior Hub, of course, is my first go-to for anybody who needs food or needs help. There's also the cold weather care in North Glen and Westminster. They're a food pantry, but they're also shelter, not just during cold weather, but they provide shelter. And I just have to say that 70% of their people that go to them leave with employment, and 50%, and that's a low number to me, but over 50% of their guests leave the program to a stable home.
Wow. And you know what I just love? You just called them guests. You didn't call them the needy people that they're just, they're guests, and they're getting developed, and they're getting moved along, matriculated, if you will, into their own lives and their own homes. That's so beautiful. They're getting the help
they want and need. And I just wish that everyone knew about these programs or had the access to them. I wish they had the resources they need to get there or to find these locations, because they're hidden gems. Not too many people talk about them or know about them, and unless you need them and you're searching for them. So
right. Or so how to support them if you're not within the system.
Correct.
We've had so many great podcasts with people that are doing things just like this, and I would love to have these kind of folks on. So this would be a great connection for us to work on. And there's another kind of corollary group to that, but associated with food and shelter. And that's a group that we did a show with called Stride. So if you look at the one from Ben Whiteholt and Stride, that one is for healthcare. And when you start putting these pieces together, think about it. If you don't have your health And you don't take, if you, God forbid, you need medicine and you can't get the medicine, it's a lot tougher to work, to buy food, to provide for your family, so that everything really dovetails, doesn't it? And so finding places, for me, finding places as resources if you need to resource, or if you're looking to give back.
Right.
These are like you say, these hidden
plenty of places
gems.
to volunteer, donate. So if you're not in need of these resources, definitely help. And Family Tree is all over Denver Metro. They have so many locations, and they're a program for not just homeless prevention, but child abuse, domestic violence, several programs that they have that will get people back on where they need to be, or the resources to get back where they need to be.
Beautiful. Yeah. So I have a final question for you.
Okay.
And
final? No.
Yeah. Where does time go?
Yes, where does the time go?
If you had one piece of advice that you've been given since you were a little girl up till now, or something that you've learned that would be that key piece of advice for you that you'd want to pass on, whether it's to your kids or to a perfect stranger or to an adult looking for something, what would that piece of advice be?
My grandma was very spiritual, and so I always keep my faith. So my advice would be to hold on, because God knows what he's doing. That
is beautiful. And you've seen it.
Yes.
Right? You've seen that if you just hold on, God knows what he's doing.
God knows what he's doing. Absolutely.
And, you know, it's funny that you say that. I was, you know, I like to watch a lot of documentaries, and, you know, I try to think about things and ponder things. And, you know, you just never know when one thing looks like it's tragic or tough, when we can ask ourselves, when we get to the self-awareness point where we can say, how does that serve me? We might not be able to see it in the moment, right? Some of the stuff that's happened over the last year with COVID and social injustice, all these things, if you're right in the middle, you might not be able to say, how does this serve me now? But if you can just hold on,
right,
and just have faith,
right,
and know that the plan always works together,
right,
and it may hurt, but somehow it helps. Like every pain that I've gone through, as you know, I just lost my dad a couple of weeks ago. There's been a lot of pain there, but I see the gratitude, and I see the things that he did to help shape me into the life that I have and I enjoy today. And I see that he's not suffering. Like all these things, the pain
he's not suffering,
allows me to say, how did that serve me? And that's what I hear you say in your piece of advice, which is brilliant.
You know, my mom just passed last year, and so I saw how many people loved her energy. She had such an energy. She loved life. She loved her Lord. She loved everyone. She just kind of, you know, we all, you know, my siblings and my dad and my mom, we all have that. Loved life, but she loved her Lord so much that she was okay going. And so seeing how many people just loved her was amazing. It was just electric.
Oh, well, I tell you what, you have certainly gotten that from her, because you are loved here. You give so much love, and we wrap you in love every day. Every time I get to see you, you know, we split from home sometimes and all that kind of stuff. But when you are here, this place is brighter. So Laura, thank you for sharing yourself with us. Thank you for the time, and just much continued success, and keep sharing that beautiful light that you have.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You too.
Absolutely.
Thank you.